To defeat an enemy, you must know them. Not just their battle tactics, but their history, philosophy, art. Welcome to the Chiss Ascendancy podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to
The Chiss Ascendancy.
I feel like we were just here.
I know.
It's episode 111, and we are finally moving on to part 2 of 3 in the Thrawn trilogy. We are in Dark Force Rising, part 1. Just a couple of days ago, episode 110, we finished Heir of the Empire.
You know what? I'm just going to go ahead and say it.
Go.
We made it.
We did.
I don't care that you broke your elbow.
I'm going to say it. We're in Dark Force Rising, part 1. Here's a real quick glimpse at the cover art.
He'll put it up bigger.
Every time I do this, it's just so funny.
Just a reminder for you.
I put it there, yeah. Cover art's pretty neat. We'll talk about it here for a second. You have AT-ATs. You've got Lando. You've got Talon Card. And who's that dude with the freaking hood right there?
Let me see.
It's the Emperor.
Who could it be? Cool little snippet here for you guys who may or may not be reading along with us. New art style in this one. A little bit mixed feedback betwixt myself and Josiah here. I kind of like it. I like it that it's a little... book 1, it's a little bit... Heir to the Empire, it's a little bit more cartoony. It's a little bit more stylistic. This one's a little bit more true to type. All the actor renditions are going to look more like their actual actor characters.
I agree. So there are portions of it. I like the realism. Obviously, the Heir to the Empire style is what my mind visualizes when I think of Heir of the Empire comics. I do like the way that Thrawn looks in particular here.
Yeah. And you know what? They get Luke's lightsaber color right.
Yep.
And
yeah, that's in my notes.
Huge points for me on that.
We did talk about that several times. I think it's the way that Luke looks that really pisses me off.
There's some panels that he looks really good, though.
Yeah.
Some panels he really looks like Mark Hamill.
There's no page numbers on this one, so we're just going to say and then.
You know what, though? I am curious if in future issues it's going to have page numbers, because I remember issue 1 didn't have page numbers.
From Heir to the
Empire?
Do a real texty check real quick.
Yeah, let me do a little...
Wait further.
There are...
No, you're not far enough in.
Well, shh. I'm taking care of it. No, there may not be page numbers. I heard him.
We're on the Chimera, and Thrawn and Pelion are having a conversation here.
As they do. As they are wont to do.
And I do think it is interesting how, again, you have kind of the Timothy Zahnism of it all, where because it's our first time seeing this interaction, it's also their first time, even though they've been working together for,
I do appreciate this
decades.
For whoever chose the dialogue for this particular comic.
Yeah.
I think they did a much better job selectively choosing which dialogue to include
Which can't be an easy job.
No, it has to be very difficult, but I feel like they've done a much better job as far as cluing the reader in as to what's happening. I think the selections are much better.
Yeah, so you've got Thrawn that says, "A question, Captain." And Pelion says, "No, sir." And he says, "You're wondering why we haven't attacked."
I always enjoy a display of Thrawn's prescience.
Yeah. He can feel it.
Oh, yeah. He knows what's stewing behind his little beady eyes.
And he says, "Yes, sir, I was. We're waiting for my observers to take up position in Hilliard City. Any sudden flurries of activity will reveal Talon Card's contacts. Eventually, they'll lead us to him." Pelion says, "Yes, sir." And then Thrawn says, "With Mount Tantus and the late Emperor's collection of Sparty cylinders, the initiative is once again ours. Very soon we'll begin taking planets back from the rebellion." I do love that he still calls it the rebellion.
I was also thinking about that. That without fail, it's not the New Republic; it's the rebellion.
And then also, so we are, like you said, moving into Hilliard City. So this is on Merkur, where Talon used to be. And I put a note in here that apparently you were like totally in the know about. But they have basically taken the area that Talon used to be in or is escaping from.
They're doing a little sweepy sweep.
Yep. It says we've secured the target zones. It appears to be empty except for these long furry animals living in the tree growing through the center of the roof. And he's describing Islamiri. And for some reason, I always considered them either reptilian or amphibian. They seem to have like skin or scales, but it says furry.
So I think I never really read the comics until until now, really. And so I had always had the novelization of it.
Yeah.
And this is what I'd always kind of mentally pictured the Islamari. If you're a fan of Futurama, I always thought of him as looking like the Spice Weasel.
Okay.
Bam. And so in my mind, I've just always locked away the mental image of the Spice Weasel as the Islamari. So I wasn't as staggered when they described it as the long furry creatures up in Talonkar's tree. I do, however, look enviously upon the wonderful oak tree that Talonkarr had in his domicile.
Yeah, that's freaking cool.
Very cool. What's that one mall that had like a tree in the middle of it?
Used to be Woodlands Mall.
Yeah, that's a fake tree, though, wasn't it?
It was an anima. Are you thinking of the animatronic tree that talked?
Yeah.
That one was fake, yes.
Yeah.
That's funny. Okay, so according to Wikipedia...
You know what? Sanctuary tree speaks, and they thought Deet was crazy for it, but turns out he only speaks to who's listening.
Yeah. Wikipedia says Islamiri... there's 1,000 different ways that we say this throughout the... whatever...
Penguin
are lizard-like tree dwellers.
But I think of that in the same way that they say that Tauntauns are reptilian. You'll never convince me that they're reptilian. They're so furry.
I know, but in all the pictures you ever see, they have like either scales or skin. Like even in the freaking action figures and stuff. They're not furred. Like here's a hot sideshow collectibles Hot Toys picture. They have like super detailed action figures and stuff.
But the Tauntauns have fur.
I understand that. I'm not talking about the Tauntauns. I'm talking about the Islamiri.
I'm talking about Tauntauns. It's the darkest Islamari.
All right. Anyways.
If a Voinsker has fur and no one's there to pet it, is it really hairy at all?
The wild card, which again is one of the coolest names.
Cool name, dude. What was the other ship he wanted to impound? The Ether something? Etherway or something like that? He wanted to...
Yeah, it's the Etherway.
Yeah, freaking... Talonkarr, what a penchant for naming cool ships.
He's hiding on the backside of an asteroid.
Classic Talonkarr.
Yeah. Mara says, what if they spot us hiding behind an asteroid is illustrated in the book? And Card says, they won't spot us. No one in his right mind would stop running from the likes of Grand Admiral Thrown, which I thought was pretty fantastic. In the very bottom right corner of that, you get a really, really cool brooding Thrawn shot.
However...
This one here?
Yeah. Perhaps.
But of course, Thrawn's thought of the fact that nobody would do it, therefore that's what Talonkarr did. And
Thrawn's thinking...
Perhaps.
He's behind that comet, that asteroid.
And this is probably one of the first times that we really see Mara's intuition and like her way of thinking pay off. Like she's been just really like irritable.
To be fair, we haven't seen her much outside of Merkur where she's in an Islamari shroud.
Not just that, but like when she's on Merkur, we're either talking about Luke or we're hanging out with Luke or we're fighting alongside Luke, all of which she hates.
Right.
We haven't really got to see her shine on her own.
In her element.
Yeah, she's in her element. She's got an idea for how
her Honda element. It's orange. It's got pinstriping on the side.
Mine did not have pinstriping.
Yours had a little pinstriping.
No?
Yeah, it did.
I don't think so.
It did.
I had a dream last night that I bought a Honda Element, actually.
So roomy on the inside, deceptively so.
Such a good car, dude. I should have got another one. So they get away, long story short, and Thrawn says, did you notice the sequence of events, Captain? And Pellaeon says the target was already powering up before the constrainer arrived. Either he was leaving anyway or he was warned. So there's been another communication from Jomark. So I kind of got these construed where I thought this was like a continuation of all of the same thoughts. Mm-hmm. I think Thrawn is figuring out that someone that used to be an ex-Imperial is on the ship. That's how Mira's figuring out what their ideas are.
Yeah, I think he's obviously no fool. It's apparent to him that something's going on there. That they
do have insider information. However, it's from Mira, not from some kind of Imperial loose end.
Working hand in hand with Sabaoth now, so he's. Yeah. I think he's getting a little bit more insight into the Force-sensitive mind.
Yeah, maybe so.
And wouldn't you know it, Force-sensitive mind calling, is my Jedi ready for delivery yet?
Yeah, exactly.
We get a lot of exasperation here from Thrawn, where he's like, there's probably like 3 grouped ellipses. And
he literally does say sigh in this next one. Yeah, it says, Captain, you must make it clear to Master Sabaoth that if he persists in these communications, he can forget about Skywalker ever showing up. And then he pauses, or his sister. Sir, he's warned me repeatedly that...
Or his sister, a.k.a. the 2 spare Jedi.
Yeah. He can't predict when Skywalker will arrive. Yes. I know. The routine. Please inform our Jedi Master...
The routine.
...that I'll personally oversee the capture of Princess Leia Organa Solo. And then we get... Here's... I put in my notes... Thrawn shits on the Nogri again. Pardon my French, if you guys have virgin ears out there. I'm changed. Pellaeon says, you call off the Nogri. And then Thrawn says, do you have a problem, Captain? He says, I respectfully remind the Grand Admiral that the Nogri don't like leaving a job undone. Those of you who are familiar with the series know this is a big deal. And it's kind of the second in a long line of things that leads to something crazy.
You gotta wonder if Rook is in the corner, like, tell him, Pellaeon.
You bastard. Yeah. The Nogri will do what they're told. In the meantime, you'll put surveillance.
Stupid corner all day, just try to stab the people.
I just want to finish my show.
Trying to capture the frickin' princess with the twins in the.
Okay, the next page, you have this tiny little snippet with Sabaoth, and
do I ever hear "Thank you"? No.
On Jomark,
you gotta wonder.
The High Castle. That just is so cool.
It is pretty cool.
And then
I do like that we have also in the vein of grumbling, Sabaoth is sitting here and he's like, "This isn't the place that I was at, but it'll do."
Yeah. Jaruith says, "This is not Wayland, which I wrestled from the Dark Jedi. This is Jomark, and I'm waiting for someone."
Is this like an affirmation?
Yeah, I'm like, is he forgetting?
Have you ever seen those memes where it was
also? Sorry, go ahead.
At the end of Desolation of Smaug, where he's like leaving to attack Lake Town, and he's like, "I am fire, I am death." And it's like a cartoon of him sitting in front of the mirror, and it's him doing those affirmations.
Oh, that's freaking awesome. That was such a good man. Smaug was so cool.
Yeah, he was cool.
In the book and the movie, it was like this huge buildup, and then they're like, what if we killed him with a toothpick?
What if we kill him right away? He's not important anymore.
Yeah, shoot him in the hat. Okay, so full disclosure, this next thought, it says a flicker in the Force, and my eyes are very tired. I'm very sleepy, and that L and that I look a whole lot like a U. Look at this, dude. It looks like a flicker in the Force. It totally does look.
Yeah, I could see that. There's this town in Oklahoma, and it has a similar sign. It's called Slick, Oklahoma. But I was driving through, I was like, I'm in Suck, Oklahoma.
Why am I in Suck, Oklahoma?
Yeah.
Also,
had a good chuckle to myself in my car by myself.
Oh, what was the? Oh, wasn't there a restaurant or a store or something you used to send me a picture of? In Tulsa?
The only thing I'm getting a grasp upon was the glory hole center. But
that's what it was.
That's in California.
Okay.
So what have we here?
So, I will say, back to Star Wars, I think that Timothy Zahn. I think
Gotta be specific here.
I think that Zahn thinks more highly of the Jedi than what they turned out to be.
What do you mean?
So Zahn is writing this in presumably the late 80s, early 90s, right?
You're saying that he came from this assumption. Well, it's kind of the whole EU. You get a bunch of cool stuff.
Yeah, but even when we get to the prequels, like, the only time that we see a Jedi really do something crazy that was like, that's what a Jedi should do, is when Mace Windu is in the Genndy Tartakovsky 2D Clone Wars.
Yeah.
And he does like this, and all of the bolts come out of all of the droids, and they just shatter.
Yeah, freaking cool.
And he's like force running, and he's like doing a shatter point on all the droids. Like, stuff like that was like, okay, clearly. And then we had a glimpse of something really cool.
We don't get... I guess I really want to push into emphasis how much that was commonplace in the novels of the time. Or, like, if we look at the Plagueis novel, which is obviously after the prequels exist, because we have Sheev Palpatine.
Of course.
The James Lucino, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Was like, and Plagueis was like 500 kilometers away from his, destination. He's like, I'll get there by morning by sprinting in the Force. You know what I mean? It was just, you get all these things that it was like, these are not
what
regular
freaking,
people.
What planet was he on in that? That was early on in the book, wasn't it?
It was very early on in the planet. It was just after he killed his master. He had that encounter with the two Jedi on assignment in the swamp, and he needed to get back to his ship, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, it was... The other thing I think of is obviously the pull it out of the sky from the Force Unleashed. Mm-hmm. And then after that...
That's so sick. Dude.
Yeah, after that, I also think of just the different things that Jedi could do that are like way out of the grasp of what they do in canon. Mm-hmm. We did get a glimpse that I was going to mention a second ago that you actually pointed out to me when we first were reading the book, but when The Light of the Jedi came out in Loden Great Storm, there's like a sea of people, and there's like pirates or there's Nile or something, and they're like hiding amongst the commoners, and they're basically, which you would never figure out who it was. And Loden like reaches out into the Force and reads like basically the Force presence of all the people, and there are 2 or 3 of them that are like, there's, this is how it's written, but basically their souls are like wrapped in malice. They're like freaking...
He can read their intent.
Yeah, and he just lifts them up like freaking high in the air and just drops them.
So sick.
And I remember you calling me or texting me and being like, where has this been this whole time?
Yeah. We got that. We got, who's the one that's like kind of in turmoil and he starts pulling the things?
That's Elzar.
Yeah. Elzar, man. He starts pulling things out of the sky. It's been a long time since I read that book, but I remember losing my frick. I still remember in my mind's eye, I was listening to that in audiobook, and I can tell you where in actual place I was, like driving in my car.
When you're listening to that part?
I remember specifically where I was because it was such a firm imprint in my mind.
That's cool. Yeah, so again, the reason I say that is because Jeruah Sabaoth is on Jomark in the High Castle, basically being hidden away by Thrawn to do Thrawn's bidding. And he says, a flicker in the Force, Imperial Star Destroyer entering high orbit. Soon I'll have my Jedi, and then even Grand Admiral Thrown will bow to my power. Like, he can feel things moving. Like, obviously he knows Thrawn, he knows what Thrawn's up to, he has at least a glimpse of an idea what the plan is from Thrawn, and he's zeroed in on that location.
Screw Sabaoth. Let's talk about frickin' how Mara was talking about how the Emperor could communicate with her from anywhere in the galaxy.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. And not just like...
That's sick, dude.
Yeah, not just a nudge or not just someone's in pain. Like, she's talking full communication.
Yeah.
Which, that's Sheev.
Yeah, that's my boy.
And so Luke is going through the bureaucracy of trying to get his X-Wing fixed. There's some fat slob smoking a cigar right behind him. Ends up being a big deal. Luke comes into the chamber where Lando is, and apparently Lando...
Let's talk about the super sniffer on Lando.
Yeah, he knows what specifics drugs this guy's been doing. He says
there's only one person in the entire Star Wars extended universe who smokes that kind of tobacco, and he's here right now, and that's a big problem.
Yeah, mister. He says, you smell like Carababa tobacco. Niles Ferrier has to be. Here we go. This is for you, Joel.
Where are we at? Here it is. You smell like Carababa tobacco. Niles Ferrier has to be. That guy's mouth is operational. He's smoking a little cigar. He's got a big old beard and he's a fat little guy. He really does. If you look at this, he looks like a... Also, can we talk about how...
I can see the reflection in your glasses.
Like, no Chick-fil-A sauce? Oh.
Niles Ferrier needs some milk.
Gonna drive my eyebrows right through my hairline, Luke.
Now, this is actually really cool. I wrote this in the notes. We get Luke doing a force locate on Niles Ferrier.
Very on par with what we were discussing earlier from the High Republic.
Yeah. So he says, I've got it. 6 of them, 6 humans and 2 aliens, about 200 meters straight ahead.
You have to think about this. This is locating a specific group of people that he's marginally familiar with. You're walking down like the mall and you see somebody who is a little bit standing outy. And, you know.
And then 5 minutes later, your friend describes him. He says, yes, that guy's 200 meters away with 6 friends.
Yeah.
And he says, what kind of aliens? Luke says, I don't know. Both species are new to me. So there's 2 species we've never met before. Mm-hmm. Finally, it took getting through the whole first third of the trilogy for Luke's saber to be green.
Which is saying, not the lightsaber thing, the alien species thing. Tim Zahn is very, in my mind, notorious for describing specifically what type of alien species is involved. And so it's kind of a big deal to me that he'd be like, oh, 2 new ones.
Mm-hmm. And I can't remember... I think that the species that is called the Wraith, I think that's an original Tim Zahn. I think the Verpine have been around.
Okay.
At least I could be incorrect, but I think that they were. So Luke's saber is finally green. We meet Niles Ferrier, and essentially what he's doing is he's here to steal ships from the New Republic because the Empire, aka Thrawn, is offering 20% above value for the ships that are available to fly. Again, we had to recuperate the fleet. So the mole miners didn't work, and so we need something else. And so imagine a ship's worth 50,000, it's 20% above whatever the value is. So you're looking at, if the ship's worth 50,000 credits, you're looking at 60,000. If it's worth 100,000 credits, you're looking at 120,000 credits.
Nice fast math.
There you go. 75 is... No kidding. So basically, Lando straight up threatens Niles Ferrier and says, look, we can basically have you killed here for stealing from the New Republic, or you can get out of here and you can leave all your codes and everything. And the 2 species we meet are the Verpine, which are an insectoid species.
And they're known for being good, technological mechanics.
Yeah, fantastic mechanics. And they also have perfect eyesight. I'm listening to a book called Yoda Dark Rendezvous. It's okay. I think I'll end up finishing it later because Master of Evil by Adam Christopher came out, and it's like Vader seeking out this shaman that Tyrannus met years ago, and supposedly he has some type of secret to immortal life, which of course is important to Vader. It's supposed to be like the scariest Star Wars book since something like Death Troopers came out. And it just came out a few days ago. So Dark Rendezvous is going on the back burner so I can listen to the new one.
What's the name of that book?
Master of Evil.
Master of Evil. We're going to give that one a listen.
Yeah. I just started today, so we can probably listen at the same time. And then the other species that we meet, which is pretty cool, is also known as a Wraith.
The Defel.
A Defel, Defel. Now their fur, sometimes if you look this up, you can see cars that are like this, but I've seen people who paint cars like the black is so dark that the color absorbs natural light.
You're talking about Vanta Black.
And yeah, I guess so. I don't know.
That is what you're talking about.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
So these creatures...
It's actually a material. It's like a carbon structure that allows the light to be absorbed most effectively.
Yeah. So these creatures, you never really see
It's more expensive than diamonds, the material Vanta Black.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Per weight and in size, it's more expensive than diamonds.
So these creatures that Luke is just now meeting, that again, I don't know if Zahn's introducing this species or what, but they're basically like the perfect spy because you can never really see them. They always just kind of, to your point, you were bringing this back up. I forgot about this from the novels, but when Luke sees these creatures...
He only perceives it through the Force.
He says it's like a blur in his peripheral.
Yeah, in the comics, it's described as a shadow because it absorbs all light, which... Don't get me started on the physics of something that absorbs all light casting a shadow, but... The sense is that Luke is aware of their presence because he can sense it in the Force, but visibly they're non-existent.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. Long story short, I don't think this is the last we'll see of Niles Ferrier, but I can't recall. But they use his codes that he has to give up to them because he's like, look, we caught you stealing. You can leave. If you leave right now, we won't turn you in, but you have to give us all your coding stuff. Mm-hmm. Really, what that ultimately does is it serves the purpose that they use Niles' codes to move Luke's X-Wing to the front of the line to be maintenance.
Pretty hilarious, actually.
Which is really
we've
funny.
got a guy here to steal ships, but let's blackmail him into leaving, and then also...
Use his own equipment.
You got to get your ship fixed, right? So let's go ahead and...
And I can tell you, as someone that works in the automobile industry, moving your car up to the front of the line to get fixed, not an easy task. So we're back on Coruscant. Han is reunited with Leia and Chewie, which is really fascinating that he's just now getting to see her and realizing that she's been off of Kashyyyk all this time. But
it's really funny to me in the illustration differences
it.
As well, how much she didn't at all look pregnant. In Heir to the Empire and in Dark Force Rising, she looks incredibly pregnant.
Super pregnant.
Super pregnant.
Which makes sense. We enter the tribunal.
What a difference a day makes.
Yeah. We enter the tribunal, and Akbar is on trial for treason. And
that shifty Bothan.
Unpack this for us a little bit. What's your take on the charges? So it's embezzling?
Yeah, I think it's embezzling. I don't know. It's not... There's not a great amount of detail from the comics, but essentially Borsk Failure has orchestrated some sort of framing scheme that Akbar... Could we talk about a guy who's less interested in money than Admiral Akbar?
Yeah. He's a freaking...
Was he going to buy more footrests for his fishbowl ship?
Yeah. I think also, like... at any point, he's a war hero. Like, he could just go back to Mon Cala and be like, hey, I'd like a mansion. And they're like, where will you want it? You know, like, he's reached God status amongst the fish folk.
It's so funny also that Borsk Failure would frame somebody for stealing money, because I'm like, if I had to pin one guy.
It's Borsk.
Yeah.
If it's still Borsk, don't steal it.
Who really wants the money?
So basically, Han and Borsk are going back and forth about this nonsense. And they said, what is your role in this Lewis Van attack? Han says, we got there just as the battle was getting started. Wing Commander Wedge Antilles said that there were TIE fighters in the shipyards. And then Borsk screams out, which is contempt of court, excuse me, who is the we here? And Han says, Skywalker, Calrissian, and 2 droids. You want their serial numbers?
Classic Han.
But yeah, it's just ridiculous that he's trying to frame Akbar. The crazy thing is he's trying to frame Akbar for political, like, achievement, but I don't understand the point of why he wants to get Akbar removed when clearly Mon Mothma is the one that's going to be elected as the Chancellor.
He wants Akbar out of the way. One, because Akbar is on to Borsk's skeeviness.
Yeah.
And 2, Akbar is in charge of all of the military forces that have been disbarred, so I don't really know what his presence or power is, since they don't have a formal military, which is something that it's super obnoxious to me, but that's a complete aside. I think he just sees Akbar as the main like opposition to his own ambitions.
Yeah, I think to your point, I think that Borsk is really, really smart and really, really sly, and he realizes that if there's anybody there that could screw this up for him and see through the plans,
it's going to be the one guy that's saying what everyone's thinking but won't say it out loud.
Yeah,
Akbar's the guy that's like the grandpa at Thanksgiving that'll say things that everybody's like, you can't say that, grandpa.
Yeah. That's Akbar.
That's Akbar.
Yeah, he's the one that he's like, can't trust this Spartan.
Never trust a Spartan.
I did think it was very interesting that when they go to visit Akbar in his cell, first of all, I know that we're writing this for the case of like having a storyline, but it's like, so Borsk accuses Akbar of something. Everybody knows that Borsk is a complete lying asshole, and we're still going to put Akbar in jail just to make sure.
It's formality.
Like, but it's a brand new government. Like, I'd be like,
right.
Nope, not doing it. Like, what?
Yeah.
What's the freaking legal ramifications? We don't even have we have nothing going for us. So, Akbar, this is pretty selfless. He says, you must get me clear of these ridiculous charges as soon as possible. Counselor Failure hasn't the skills we need against a threat of this magnitude.
Threat of this magnitude being the Grand Admiral Thrawn, who is an unprecedented threat for the New Republic since they believe they've accounted for all the Grand Admirals.
Yeah, they think that everybody's off the board, and they're just having to figure out pirates and things of that nature.
A little bit of clout for Grand Admiral Thrawn that, there definitely seems to be a bit of respect and in a rivalry sense of like, okay, well, good luck against a Grand Admiral. It's almost like in chess when there's like a Grandmaster, there's just like, if you have that rank, there's the understanding or the expectation that you have the ability to do things that most other chess players can't do.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
You see it in multiple sections here, like Grand Admiral, we already had all those taken out.
Yeah.
And they're like, nope. Which, if you've taken out all the Moffs and you've taken out all the Grand Admirals, and then it's been 5 years since the fall of the Empire, and then there's one, and Han and Luke are coming back going, hey, we got a problem.
Yeah.
Then it's already scary that there's a Grand Admiral out there. It's already scary that Luke and Han and Lando come back and say, hey, we got a problem. It's doubly worrying that this guy's been out God knows where and has been able to choose his time to come back, and now he's chosen it. And you're like, what the heck does this guy have up his sleeve?
You have no idea who he is, what he's capable of, how he's managed to elude you to this degree for this amount of time.
It's kind of like whenever you see like a horror movie or like a serial killer movie, and they're like, let's say we're out there and we're in a house in the middle of the woods, and then the killer cuts the power, and it's like, okay, because the killer's the one that cut the power, and the killer's the one that has the gun or the knife or whatever, it's like, you feel like you're at their mercy and you're just walking around in the dark, and that's kind of where they're at with Thrawn. So moving forward, we've got Leia finally telling Han about her plan to visit the Nogri
alone,
and by herself, which he's very upset about several times. And then we get a really cool informational, I think that will make this the title slide, but we get a really cool informational script about Master Sabaoth. Now, you have to remember, and most of the people who are listening to this podcast right now are Star Wars fans, friends of ours that have read the trilogy, and they already know what's happening, and they're just following along because we're having a good time. But you'll notice on the information on this screen, the way that his first name is spelled is Jorus, not Jouus.
Yeah.
And that's a very specific thing that Zahn has pointed out. So the information on the screen that Luke is reading says Jorus Sabaoth, human, attended Jedi Training Center on Kemparis, instructor unknown, assumed the title of Jedi Master 4374 PE. We looked this up for you ahead of time. This in universe stands for pre-Empire. So again, we didn't have the timeline because this is before the prequels, right? So, my question is...
What's your question?
When did the Outbound Flight Project take place?
That's my mistake. Well, there's a picture of me, guys. Give me a second. Get that bad boy back up there.
I thought you were going to say, that was my question, to put the question up there. So, according to the Star Wars Legends timeline, the Outbound Flight Project was 27 BBY. Okay, so the timeline obviously doesn't necessarily match up, but
what I wanted to know, because of the format of the year, is if it was somebody's significant's birthday.
It probably is.
It's not Tim Zahn's birthday. Tim was born in
I wonder what
1951.
wife's birthday is. Oh, well. Unless he's a real player.
Yeah, unless he's robbing the cradle while she robs the grave.
Or maybe maybe it's one of his kid's birthdays or something like that. But, so, Jorah Sabaoth was made a Jedi Master April 3rd of 1974. PE, which is pre-Empire.
1974. It doesn't say 19. It just says 74 PE.
Well, it does say, yeah.
Which stands for pre-Empire. We looked it up because I was used to Star Wars dates in ABY or BBY, which would be after Battle of Yavin or before Battle of Yavin.
Do you know that they started trying to... I'm sure that somewhere in the universe they still use this, but when Disney took over for Star Wars, they started trying to make all of the stuff that was happening in the sequel trilogy timeline. They're trying to say after the Starkiller Base incident.
Yeah, let's just start a whole new era.
Yeah.
15 years later.
Isn't that crazy?
Well, I guess, probably closer to 20-something years, yeah.
But
still, though.
So reading Jorah Sabaoth, assumed the title of Jedi Master 4374. Member of a force assembled to oppose Dark Jedi insurrection, which I think is pretty cool.
So that's significant because it really ties into the earlier moment of Jeruis trying to rectify the difference in his memory of, hey, I'm not here where I went to take back some place from the Dark Jedi.
Yeah, he said he took Waylon back from a Dark Jedi. So it's, Zahn really wants us to focus on whoever this Dark Jedi was supposed to have been. Mm-hmm. Member of force assembled to oppose Dark Jedi insurrection. One of 6 Jedi Masters assigned to the Outbound Flight Project. No record after project departure from Yaga Minor, which was 4164 PE.
I'm curious.
So he'd been a Jedi Master for 10 years at that point.
Yeah, it's interesting because he was in charge of the Outbound Flight Project, so I don't know. I don't really remember any other Jedi mentioned in Outbound Flight.
Anakin and Obi-Wan are supposed to be on board, and they get called away last minute. Mm-hmm. Fun little nugget there.
But I seem to remember, it was pretty much the Jorah Sabaoth show.
Which goes right back into what we were saying in the comic here. Luke is studying who Jorah Sabaoth is because he's gotten that call from a while back, mm-hmm. and he's drawn to meet Master Sabaoth. We finally meet Winter, who is basically Leia's right-hand lady.
She's a significant presence in the books. She's made very little...
Is she in Heir of the Empire?
Yeah.
Okay.
100%.
I remember her for sure in Dark Force Rising, but Winter is...
She's Leia's right-hand man.
Yeah, she's Leia's right-hand man, and she has a perfect memory, which is really, really cool. So... she says, Commander. Luke says, hello, Winter. And then Winter replies, Princess Leia would like to see you when you're finished. Luke asks, do you know anything about Jorah Sabaoth? She says, not much. And he said, did you ever see a picture? And she says, a group hollow. Sabaoth was average height, muscular. He had a short, neatly trimmed beard. Looked like he was about 40. Do you think he's still alive? She asks. I had a brief mental contact with another Jedi, and Leia tells me there are rumors Sabaoth has been seen on Jomark. And again, Thrawn's having him plant out there so that Luke feels like he needs to go there. Mm-hmm. And Luke says comments, and then Winter, even though she knows basically nothing about him, to your point, she knows everything about nothing and nothing about everything. And she says, Sabaoth struck me as a sort of person who loved being in the middle of things. If he couldn't control a situation, he'd still be there just to be visible. Luke asks, what do you know about this Outbound Flight Project
Not much.
the Old Republic put together? She says, not much. It was supposed to be a search for life outside the galaxy. I'm not sure it was ever launched. Luke replies, Sabaoth was supposed to be assigned to that project. And then Winter says there's only one way to find out. Luke replies, yeah, go to Jomark and ask him. Meaning, go to Jomark and ask Sabaoth himself. We move forward. Luke and Han, Leia, and Chewie are all in the same room, and then Luke quickly dismisses himself because Han and Leia are kind of getting into it over her trip to visit the Nogri.
Right. Daddy's all right.
Exactly. So The agreement we come to is that Chewie and 3PO will accompany Leia, but then when she goes to touch down, 3PO will do the interpreting with her. And if I'm not mistaken, she makes a deal with them where he's not a person, he's a droid, so he can come with.
Yeah.
But Chewie has to stay aboard the ship when they go landside.
I seem to remember some interaction, and this is, speculation with the crowd because it's been several years, but I seem to remember Chewie is there with her, but she just says he has to like follow everything that she says essentially. So he has no autonomy, but he's there as a presence.
Yeah, exactly. Which is kind of iffy with the Nogru because they made a promise that she'd be there by herself, but it's literally Han and Chewie won't take no for an answer.
Yeah.
Moving forward, Talon Card and Mara Jade are arguing over whether this is a good place to hide. Turns out that Mara is absolutely right, that it's not safe. And Talon randomly brings up this fleet that he's heard of way back in the day called the Katana Fleet. This is very important. He says, do you know about the Katana Fleet? Mara responds, also known as the Dark Forest, ? Something like, I like how it's like, long he is like this? Never heard of him. She says, something like 200 Dreadnought class heavy
Big front
cruisers.
teeth like this?
Fluffy tail like this? Never heard of him. Lost about 10 years before the Clone Wars. The timeline that Zahn's putting together is absolutely bonkers because you've got like 74 pre-Empire and you've got 64 pre-Empire.
The Clone Wars?
Yeah. So obviously we know
So we're talking like 8 years before Darth Maul makes an appearance?
Yeah. Yeah. 10 years before the Clone Wars would have been right around the time of the Phantom Menace.
That's crazy, man.
So, obviously, all of this kind of gets sewn up, right? Because, obviously, the Outbound Flight Project is not 64 PE. It's like 1 PE at best. And so she says there's a system malfunctioned. Basically, there's a concept that
it seemed to be a
very
demonstration. Tim Zahn, and I remember from the books, really, really, really like this much pushes the idea of slave rig circuitry and ships essentially being able to operate any ship via the cloud. And the Katana fleet was a premier demonstration of the slave rig circuitry.
Right.
Being able to like, hey, now we can take out all of the operator error and we're going to move all of these ships in tandem all at once via this simulcast.
Yeah, exactly.
But there was something that went wrong. The Katana fleet was lost. It's
just disappears.
However many ships it is that are of battle quality and just gone forever.
Yeah, and so
Aaron Hernandez gone forever.
Talon Card basically stumbled upon them about 15 years ago and is trying to decide, does he do a big gift to the Empire and they're paying 20% above market value and you've just delivered,
Or do we, in the long run, do ourselves a bigger favor and
by giving to the New Republic?
Yeah. Or do I do it for me?
Yeah, exactly. While they're discussing all this, Mara goes into town. She finds a guy that she thinks is following her. When she turns on him and says, she's trying to confront him.
Stick him up.
You hear that's far enough.
Up, see?
And there's a bounty hunter that is basically trying to take her in. Obviously, Mira and Talon Card.
There's only one red-headed woman in the galaxy.
Yeah, exactly. She distracts him, takes him out, and when she gets his
little identification,
his little ID card, the guy's alias, so he's a bounty hunter whose real name is not this thing. I'm doing a big reveal here. He's a bounty hunter who has an alias. The alias is
so dumb.
Dengar Roth. So he's trying to be not a bounty hunter, but he has the most recognizable bounty hunter name, one of the top 5 bounty hunters in the whole galaxy.
So dumb.
It's like one of the dumbest aliases. That's like, hey.
Yes, I'm not trying to start any wars. My name is Hitler Adolf.
Yeah.
It's just.
No, I'm just a regular old guy. I'm not a terrorist. My name is Osama bin Laden. Why do you ask? It's like, if you're trying
This isn't my turban. I was holding it for a friend.
Yeah. My name is Boba Fett. No, not the Boba Fett.
We get that all the time.
Yeah,
you know.
it's just
no relation.
Yeah, I'm not.
It's a big galaxy.
It's like more obvious than Chief Palpatine, you know. So basically, she goes back to Card and says, "Hey, look, we're freaking."
It's just toilet paper. Quit reading into it.
Yeah, we've been had. They know that we're here. There's a bounty for us. We got to get out of here. So then, Talon sends out the call. He says we're going to do the only prudent thing. We're going to retreat. Dankin tell Lacton to start pulling the drop apart, and then call Chin and have his team repack the stuff from the dump. I want to get off Rishi by midnight. And then Talon talks to Mara and decides we don't give the dreadnoughts up, not to Thrawn, not to anyone. And Mara says, what happens when we run out of backup bases? We may have to, meaning we may have to give up the ships no matter what.
Right.
And
it seems like Mara's really like, I don't know, maybe we sell to the Empire. It definitely gives the underlying current of ulterior motives.
Yeah, maybe so. Yeah,
or like some misplaced loyalty, perhaps.
Yeah, she says we may have to. Talon responds, we may choose to. We never have to. Is that clear? Mm-hmm. And she says yes. And then final little blip of part 1 of Dark Force Rising. Mara's asleep, and then you see the freaking scary Chief Palpatine on the wall there.
I think it's neat.
And it says later that night, as the wild card drove through hyperspace, which is funny that says drove through hyperspace, the dreams started again. And we don't know what that means. We don't know what dreams are happening. And that is the end of part 1 of Dark Force Rising.
Indeed.
Very strong start to part 2 of the trilogy.
Oh, yeah. Great start to Dark Force Rising.
And so Dark Force Rising is really, we've set the stage in Heir to the Empire, and things really take off in Dark Force Rising.
I agree. So, very much the Empire Strikes Back to the trilogy.
Yeah. So great things. That is part 1. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Do not forget, we tell you every week, like and subscribe here on YouTube. Send it to your friends and family. And then also follow us on Instagram and TikTok, where we're posting memes and factoids and info dumps and lore videos and all kinds of fun stuff. And remember, the Force will be with you always.
And also remember, alongside that, maybe more important, the only family you have here is me.
We'll see you next week.